Okay, let's wait one more minute. I wonder if that's how teachers feel on their first day of school. Okay, so I'm gonna get started because it's 8:31 and everyone knows that I like to be very much on time. So obviously we're here today to talk about back to school tidiness. Kind of weird that the summer's over, but no need to be in denial, and it's a good way to start the new year. So just to quickly, comment on what we're going to talk about so you're prepared. We're going to cover menu planning and how to streamline your grocery shopping and lunchbox packing, what to do with all of those lovely projects. I'm sure your child comes home with lots of those. Some daily habits that you and your children can take on, and ways to store school supply items, backpacks, and after school activity items. So, all those things that have to do with school and the school year. So let's start off with menu planning. So honestly, this is something that even I struggle with in my own home, but this is kind of how I help myself. And when it comes to kids, they're pretty clear about what they like and what they don't like. So the first thing to do is to, try to just simplify things. So don't make things complicated for yourself. And a suggestion that I like to make is to create a list of 7 easy to make meals that you know your kids like. So whether that means going to the grocery store and spending whatever it is, maybe an hour there walking down the aisles and getting a good idea of what your kid likes and kind of coming up with some plans. So, maybe it involves some frozen food, things that are easy to warm up either the night before or in the morning, or some pasta and meat is always a good one. And then obviously veggies and fruits. So go to the grocery store or just, maybe even look online or whatever it is and just create a list of 7 to 10 easy to make meals that, you can stick in the lunchbox or you can feed your child to dinner, and write that on a sheet of paper. And then I suggest that you really create a calendar for these meals instead of, making it exist in your head or whatever it is. Something tangible that you can print out and either stick on your fridge or in the kitchen somewhere so anyone can refer to it. And so you can refer to it and so you don't get tripped up in the middle of the week or whatever it is. So maybe it involves repeating the same meals 3 days and then switching up their lunch boxes the other 2 days. But again, just keep things simple for yourself and just try to hone in on what your kids will actually like. So, it's not Wednesday and you're just like, oh my God, Thursday, day 4, what in the world do I do tomorrow? Pizza, chicken, rice, veggies, all the simple things. Another thing that I like to suggest in order for your kids to, pick up some good habits and to help themselves in the morning is to designate a drawer with ideally healthy, but no judgment there. I love candy. But snacks that your children can choose on their own in the morning. So, make that part of the morning routine. It's, grab your lunchbox and then grab one of the snacks from the drawer. And obviously, kids might go crazy and grab more than one snack, but if you hopefully create rules and boundaries and just a system for even your child, including yourself, then, it's just a place that they can go and access on their own and make those choices every morning. I really believe in kids helping themselves in that way. So, um, a drawer low down or maybe a basket somewhere, just something that they can reach. And I already spoke about this, but, just to keep things simple, not getting caught up with all those jazzy foods and complicating things with recipe books. Like, at least for the first few years when your kids are young and your life is really, really hectic, you want to keep things easy for yourself and you want to keep your week going by smoothly and you don't want to get tripped up multiple times. So simplify, always, always simplify. A whole lot of pretzels. Okay, next, I want to talk about projects, because obviously this is something that I see a lot with my clients, that their kids come home with something and they either feel really attached to it, or it's more novel than the last project. Maybe the circles are more round, or the letters are a little more straight. And obviously I don't have my own kids, but I do get it. I have nieces and nephews, and they send me postcards and they draw me pictures, and sometimes they're really inspiring and I'll hold on to them, and sometimes I kindly say goodbye. So when it comes to your kids' projects, every single day they come home with something new. I think that's even a new age thing. I don't know if we did that back in the day, but worksheets or projects, just tons and tons of art. So creating a system that you can implement for those projects is really, really important. And I know this works for my sister, and she's an extremely tidy mom. So I always like to use her kid tips when it comes to my own clients. I always think, like, what would my sister do? So this is what she does, and it really works. So basically, they come home at the end of the day, they take all their projects out of their bag, they show you them, you ooh and you ah, and you're really, really proud. And then either when they go to sleep or whatever it is, you could even, make this a conversation with them, but anything that's uninspiring goes into the trash. So maybe it's some scribbles or a half filled out worksheet. Teachers tend to be a little more liberal about what they send home. Like, they don't want to be the ones to trash it. So it's very often that the kids just come home with tons of stuff. So anything that's uninspiring goes straight into the trash. So you don't get attached to it, because the longer you stare at it and hold on to it, the longer you get attached to it. I read a study about that once, and I found it really interesting. And then anything that's a little nicer, or clearly your kid worked hard on it, or they're really, really proud of it, can be hung up on a bulletin board or maybe the fridge. I've helped some clients set up like a clothesline with clothespins to hang up their projects, so that's always a good thing. And then they can look at it and feel really proud and kind of create their own gallery in the home. Um, and then, that kind of rotates as newer projects come in. So let's say it's a holiday is coming up. So they make, a Santa Claus or a snowman or a menorah, and you hang it on the board. They feel really, really good about it. And then the next holiday comes up, because that's the way the calendar years work, obviously. So out goes the old and then in comes the new, and your kid doesn't feel upset that you're just throwing everything out. So that's always a winning solution for that. And then obviously there are going to be things that your child works harder on and that you actually really love, and that's totally, totally fine. I appreciate that. But again, not to just let them roam around the house and be all over the place, but to collect them and put them in a sentimental keepsake box or a portfolio folder. One of my clients who's in here, you know who you are, but she does this, and it's just great. She has one for every kid. It's in her basement, super accessible, and she puts the projects that she really loves in there. And then every so often, we're going to go through them and reevaluate, and the ones that are no longer exciting will get the boot and kindly go into the recycling. And then another issue that I actually come across quite often are those bulky projects that, take a lot of space to store. So you don't want to just invest all this space in your children's projects. And you kind of like get stuck with this, like, what do I do? This is such a beautiful castle made out of trading cards or whatever it is. That's a true story. So obviously, like, the short answer is to just photograph it. And again, we don't want to be stuck with tons and tons of photos of your kids' artwork, and digital clutter is just a whole nother thing to speak about. We're not going to go there right now, but it's just an easy solution to items that you want to remember and that are really, really special to you, but you don't want to hold on to the whole thing because you just don't have a big enough apartment and whatever it is. We live in New York City, some of us, so can't hold on to everything. And another thing that's really helpful is to create a photo book with, the super special artwork. So there are companies nowadays, and I can send you them if you'd like, that basically you mail them your artwork and then they take really high quality photos and create a very special portfolio book that you can, keep one per year or whatever it is, and your kid can feel really proud of themselves. So those are some things to keep in mind when it comes to projects. Obviously, the overwhelming value of mine is not to hold on to everything, but just to only keep the things that are truly, truly special, because the more you keep, the less valuable everything becomes. That's one of the Tidy Tova values right there. Okay, next we're going to talk about some new habits that you can start. You could even start right now. You could start tonight if you're feeling super ambitious. Although I guess school didn't start for most people, but these are just some things to keep in mind throughout the school year, and like habits that will really, really help. So the first is to empty backpacks at the end of every single day, because obviously you don't want your kid carrying around trash, and you don't want their backpack to become a dumping ground. So it's really, really important to create like this. They come into the door, we go through the backpack, we take out the lunchbox, we take out uneaten food, projects, notes from teachers, etc., just to make sure that they're not carrying around things they don't need. This is something I even do in my own life, and I carry a backpack every day. And, sometimes I need my measuring tape, sometimes I need my label maker, whatever it is, but I make sure to empty my bag every day so I'm not carrying around my measuring tape when I don't have to, because I really hate carrying extra weight because I just do a lot of walking and I'm always on my feet. So throw out all old receipts. I mean, I don't want to get into like purse care, but obviously this applies to your own life too, and your own bag, just to get into this habit of going through the bag every day and taking out the things that you don't need and throwing out the garbage. Another thing is to create a running to-do list that anyone in your home can add to and refer to. So I grew up in a home where we were always doing chores, and there were lots of check marks, and we got dollars and allowances and whatnot. So I really believe in this kind of system in a home, and I think it could actually be really fun and like a way for the family to unite in a certain way. So, whether it's a dry erase board or a notepad on your fridge, or just something that everyone in the family can add to and look at, like, oh, we're supposed to mop the floors. I'm a little bit bored now. I'm going to mop the floors. Maybe this is kind of like a pipe dream, but I do believe that there's a way to create a to-do list that everyone can look at and feel good about accomplishing things, especially children. Obviously, they work really well with rewards. So maybe create like a reward system around that too. Pick out clothing the night before. So this is an obvious one, especially if your kids have a hard time getting dressed, or if they're not dressing themselves. It just makes the morning run a lot smoother. Maybe you make a pile at the beginning of the week and there's one for each day, or maybe you just do it every night. Whatever works for you, whatever you feel like your children would work for them. But picking out clothing the night before could be really, really helpful. And then it's also, if they have gym, make sure they're wearing sneakers or comfortable clothes, whatever it is. Spend 10 minutes tidying at the end of every day. This might also fall into the pipe dream category, but I really, really believe that 10 minutes can really change your home's tidiness overall. Obviously, 10 minutes is not very many, but then again, to do 10 minutes of something you don't love is not so easy. So I really can appreciate that and understand that. But whether it's setting an alarm or playing a few songs, but maybe to focus on getting things back to where they belong, or at least in the room that they belong, because otherwise you'll just be left with piles around your house. And I mean, a lot of you are my clients, so that's kind of the things that we're trying to avoid and the habits that we're trying to stay away from. So maybe you could start with 2 minutes. It's kind of like meditation. Like if you told me to meditate for 10 minutes a day, I would be like, that's probably not going to happen, but maybe 2 minutes to start, and then you'll realize how beneficial it is. So I challenge you. And then the last is to mentally walk through the next day in your mind and think about anything that needs to be prepared. So again, this is something that I do in my own life, and I really don't know how I'd function without it. So, while I'm packing up my bag at night, I'll think like, oh, okay, I have a consultation tomorrow. Don't forget that tape measure. Okay, and then I'm meeting so and so. I have to return this to her. Let me put that in my backpack as well. And I really truly walk through my entire day and set aside the things that I'm going to need. Otherwise, it's very, very easy to forget. So this works well with your kids too, whether it's their after school items, like their karate uniform, or they need something specific for school, like they need something that starts with the letter S, whatever kids are doing in the classroom nowadays. So just to walk through the day in your mind and prep in that way. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening here. Okay. Now I want to talk about creating tidy spaces, which is what we do together all the time, my clients and I. So it's, I like to call these items kind of bringing your space from 0 to hero. They're pretty easy things that you can do that will make a really big difference. So the first is installing hooks by the door. I'm really a big lover of hooks. Every time I walk into a house, I turn around doors to make sure there are hooks on the backs, and I open closets and look for little walls, and I'm always like, you could put a hook here, you could put a hook here. So often people are like, but what do I put on the hook? So if you put hooks by your front door, obviously it's for coats, backpacks, scarves, kind of creating a little bit of a mudroom for yourself. Or it's good for those after school activity bags, like we said, the karate uniform, or maybe the ballet uniform with the ballet slippers. Just those things that you will need throughout the week that you can kind of grab before you leave the house. So again, it's not like, oh my God, tomorrow's Wednesday, where in the world is that karate uniform? Just creating systems for these things, like this is where it lives. Oh, by the door on the hook. That makes so much sense. It's also great for an outbox. I always try to implement an area that can be used as an outbox for my clients, and that's the items that are, leaving your house, like things that you borrowed that need to be returned, or things that you bought that you no longer want, or things that you're donating, whatever it is. But hooks are a great place to leave these things. Another is to kind of create a little workstation wherever your child's doing their homework. So I suggest it in the kitchen because I think that's often where, family comes together and kids end up doing their homework. And again, you don't want to be scrambling for a pencil or for an eraser or for a ruler, whatever it is, those very basic items that your children will need when they're doing their homework, just to have those specifically in an area that's designated for them. So you know exactly where it is. And so you don't have to search every time because, I know people are like, I can never find the tape. I just want to be able to find my tape. So, stuff like that you just know where it is and it always lives there and you don't have to search every time you need it. Another is to create a peaceful reading area for your kids. So again, I'm gonna bring up my sister's kids again. We went on a family camping trip in my dad's backyard a couple years ago, and I got my nieces and nephew a headlamp for the camping trip. And then a week later, I got a text from my sister. All her kids are in their beds reading before they went to sleep. They got 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes of reading time with their headlamps, and it was the sweetest thing. And obviously, as an aunt, I was so happy that I bought them that. But I also thought it was just such a genius move as a mother because they don't have night tables, so they don't have lamps, and she doesn't want to keep their big lights on because obviously that gets them into regular mode. But a headlamp was a nice way to kind of, get them a little more relaxed and get them into their reading mode. If you're not into camping, a book light is always an option. Obviously, that's what we're all used to. So either one of those. But kids look really cute in headlamps, so consider that. And then obviously you could always stick a beanbag or a chair in the corner, just, an area where your kids know that they can go and relax and focus on their reading. So that's it. That's all we're going to talk about today. I know that was pretty quick, but that was my first webinar, so I'm kind of happy and fun. That was great. I'm glad you guys are here. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. You can click on that little button, or you can email me anytime. I'm always happy to answer things. And obviously my email is hi@tidytova.com. It's on the bottom of the slide. And if no one has any questions, then that can be it. Oh, someone asked, what about jackets? What do you mean, what about jackets? Where should you store the jackets? I think someone is asking where to store jackets. So again, like, I really believe in creating almost like a little mudroom. And for kids, they're not going to hang their jackets on hooks. It's just not realistic. So maybe it's adding, sorry, they're not going to hang them on hangers, but they will hang them on hooks. So maybe on the back of the door, creating lower hooks so they can hang them there, or finding a hidden wall somewhere and hang hooks there. And it's, you know, kind of their like shoes and jacket area, backpacks too. Again, it depends on your space, so it's hard to make general rules, but hooks low down is ideal for kids so they can reach them. Okay. Do you know of any of the services where you send your kids artwork and they make a book for you? Yes, I was hoping someone would ask this. I reached out to another client of mine yesterday because she does this all the time, and the books look great. And the website is called suvinartbooks.com. I can send it to you guys so you have it for your reference, or I can add it to the slide, but I'm going to type in the answer over here. I sent that to all. Hopefully you guys saw that. So yeah, so that's a really good service. I've seen it firsthand. I think that's all the questions. If anyone else has another question, feel free to send it. They're kind of fun. Do you have Do you have any availability? Yes, of course. Send me an email. Looks like Charlotte's raising her hand. Mistake. Guys, this was really fun. Thank you for coming. And maybe we'll do another webinar soon. If you have any other topics that you want me to hit on, let me know, because this was a really, really fun experience for me. And yeah, I feel weird being the first to leave, so maybe you guys should leave first. I've also been talking to myself for the last 25 minutes, so that was kind of strange too.